Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua, Bashem, HaRakadosh, the abundance of the apostles and elders, great millstone, the rule well. Shalom to all the brothers doing the work of Syria and truth. Um, yeah, what's it called? Like the WHO, the World Health Organization. These guys come out and, funny enough, mention that aspartame causes cancer, or may cause cancer, is what they're saying. Which is funny as hell, because it's something that's been known and spoken of for a while. But then it's I think basically most the white. I think there's like the natural sweeteners or whatever, like the more kind of vegan, new age oriented products that don't use it, but it's like most of the classic like soft drinks like Coke and Fanta, all the stuff in the picture, these all use it. So it's funny because I think I would say the US, but then over here in the UK as well, there's hella people where they drink, like, all they'll drink is what do you call it, like soft drinks. Don't even fuck with water. It's like people where they really don't drink water, like maybe in summertime when it's like when the heat's getting to them, they might fuck with a glass of water. But generally they're just messing with soft drinks, because that's, funny enough, that's a culture that's kind of built up. Because over here, I think they did it. Someone, and even with like Pepsi Max, Coke Zero, the zero sugar equivalents are the ones where they kind of get, because it's like people with diabetes and what's it called? What's the other one? So it's like the diabetes, and then just in general people that are kind of overweight and trying to watch like calories. They'll fuck with those ones, but you're still jacking yourself up anyway, man. There's no, it's like, you turn from sugar water to a replacement, but that's jacking you up anyway. But these things have been known, and it makes no sense. There's just you can be drinking something like Coke, where it's like fucking the amount of grams of sugar in one of the cans is a madness. But then you're gonna have something taste similar, but then there's it's not gonna have a negative impact drinking it. It don't make no sense. But now from the mainstream, from the what's the term? The term would be from the from the guys that basically push out information that the general public listens to. These men are now saying it, and people are up in an uproar, because why? Because everyone's fucking hooked on their Cokes, their Fantas, their Sprites, their what else is in here? Dr. Peppers and whatnot. All these soft drinks that basically have them in there. So it's funny because it really shows how people. It's the same thing. I kind of always mention it in like the second Matrix movie, when Neo talks to the architect. The architect says like, oh, to get the Matrix running, we basically, for people to, integrate and engage with the Matrix, we basically had to make it where they had a choice to a certain extent, even if it's on a subconscious level, of whether they accept the programming or not. And it's like that with how it is with Esau's lies that he pushes out. For you to sit there and be, slurping the just gonna be slamming. There's people that slam down like three or four fucking 2 liter bottles of that shit a day. Like it's wild, man. Like they don't even fuck. Like you see their kids' teeth are fucked. Their kids are all overweight. They're through as hell. With what do you call it? You see these you know, was it I was even, oh, I forgot the point I was gonna make. Yeah, so these men essentially needed to have a choice of whether they want to accept it or not. And with what do you call it, with these things that Esau's pushed out, it's they've basically been accepting it. And now that it's like, you know, the reality of you know of them basically, you know, having essentially willfully closing their eyes, because there's a lot of things that goes on within Esau's kind of realm. It's like a good example would be racism, where, you know, you have like shit like that new Little Mermaid film when he put a Jake Bird in there as you know, as a little mermaid, you know, and it's apparently so all the little black girls can just feel like, yeah, like me or whatever. That's, you know, that's what they're saying. You with all, essentially that's an acknowledgement of there being, you know, racial tensions. There's racial issues that still, you know, echo on to today. It's like they'll say, oh, you know, slavery was forever ago, blah blah blah. You know, even though the shit is still in living memory. But yeah, they'll say that. Why? Because it basically lets you try and kind of have the ability to just be like, okay, I'm not going to accept the reality. I'm going to accept the illusion, you know, the smoke screen. And that's how one of these things are. These guys coming out and basically saying that, like, oh, that was all mist, that was all darkness, that was all, you know, a puff of smoke. It was a delusion. Is throwing people off, because then it's like, oh wait, hold on. So what other things are we been ingesting that everyone says is perfectly fine and all right? And it's funny as well, because you go into a lot of the food and drink related stuff. Just historically goes back to companies having something like some leftover from some process or something that are like, hey, we can monetize this, like vegetable oils and whatnot. They're all kind of like the leftovers from the process of like processing these different products. So they'll just be like, well, we can monetize it. It's like Vaseline, where it's kind of a was it petroleum jelly? It's like a dish. It's a leftover from the process of processing it. So, you know, these guys are basically thinking about that cash money. So okay, let me get into the article. So this is on the Washington Post. This is what aspartame may cause cancer, global health body says. It says the WHO cancer research arm has labeled aspartame a possible carcinogen, casting new doubts on the safety of one of the world's most common artificial sweeteners. And yeah, it's funny because you can go back a week, a month, a year, 5, 10 years ago. If you were to say this, people would say you're a crackpot, conspiracy theorist, nut, lunatic, whack job. You know, you're zapped out of your mind. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're a lying, deceitful. But now, you know, as soon as it comes from like an established organization, all of a sudden, then it's suddenly valid. And it's funny because there's various things that are like part of the thing is as well is like, you just have to look at what's the current like health levels of what do you call it, of like the average, you know, average citizen, America especially, because America, I believe, it's like being overweight is the norm. Like there's more overweight people than in shape people. And it's funny because I was watching a YouTube video kind of going into different food things. They were talking about, they've been introduced to the diet, and they're talking about like the food pyramid in that particular video. And then they mentioned like one of the guys that was, you know, being interviewed about the topic mentioned like he looked at like the space Challenger, the Challenger rocket or whatever the fuck it's called, man. Like the people that were watching that, he said he was looking at the footage and it was like they're all slim. And you just think like, yo, what the fuck? Which real talk? You look at images of it's like you deal with Jake. That Boondocks episode they did on soul food is immaculate because that really shows like the style, the cuisine that Jake be dealing with is a mess. But what the with these the change, the shift in like what people deal with, what they eat and drink, that's why everyone's all jacked up, man. Everyone's at the MacD's, fast food, high fructose corn syrup. That US really runs with that. These various different products that you can tell, you can just observe and see people are in worse health, man. Their health's deteriorated on a general level. But now it's an established organization saying it. Now it's valid. So it says the organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer said recent studies suggest that aspartame may be linked to a high risk of liver cancer, but a different agency within the WHO said it would not change its guidance for how much aspartame may be safely consumed in a day, saying the substance was not shown to absorb into the bloodstream. The seemingly opposing announcements by the IARC and the Joint Expert Committee on Food Additives, separate agencies within the UN's Health Authority, is certain to intensify questions about the safety of aspartame. Which, yeah, that's confusion. But then again, it's it's only valid now because it's coming from a mainstream source, even though that's information that's been out there. Because what was say separated with intensify, so which is used in everything from Diet Coke and toothpaste to low calorie fruit yogurts and cough drops. Due to more than 90 countries have approved aspartame's use, and the US FDA has reviewed its safety 5 times since it was approved for consumption in 1981. Yet concerns have persisted about its potential cancer risk. Yeah, no surprise, because as far as with these processes, a lot of these, pretty much most of these government systems, they fall down to political power and money, which is really what essentially runs what's allowed, man. Because the guys that hold sway, they'll basically keep things within where basically things operate in a way where they can continue to make money, or they can maximize how they can make money. It's not about health, safety, any concern for the public. It's about cash money, and that is dumb being clear for the longest. Money is basically one of the key components of why money is one of the key components of why people engage. Engage with the whole system and whole ecosystem. So this is what so already governmental agencies and the food industry are pushing back. The FDA said it's in a statement that it disagrees with the IARC's conclusion that aspartame is a possible carcinogen to humans, citing shortcomings in the studies on which the IARC relied. It said aspartame is one of the most studied food additives in the human food supply. Some consumers may rely on products with aspartame and other sweeteners to help reduce their sugar consumption. We recognize that navigating different information from health organizations is challenging, the FDA statement said. For the world's nearly 540 million people living with diabetes, IRC's announcement is misleading, inaccurate, and fear-mongering. Yeah, so it's basically a matter of, you can continue. Essentially, you can engage with it however the fuck you want to engage with it, kind of a thing. Because it's the same with truth's dumb and coming out, but what people don't want to engage with it. They don't want to mess with it. Because why? Then they're gonna have to put the Diet Coke down. They're gonna have to put all these different products essentially that they ingest, and then, well, they don't want to do that. Fucking course they don't want to accept it. But they ain't even thinking like, okay, yeah, what we gonna? Okay, you're gonna do further research. You're gonna look into that. You're gonna see how viable or unviable that is. Like, what's going on? It's like, no, we've studied it before it's done. I'm like, oh, then what's new here? Do you not think people have vested interest in being able to use it because of, one, how many fucking diabetics there are on, two, all that money people are making off, so-called low sugar, man. Low sugar or sugar free. That's a whole thing, man. It's like what's it called with milk? They got like skim milk, semi-skim milk. It's like the low fat or low sugar. That's a whole industry of how people make money. But people are simple. They're basically just running with putting it in a box of like, oh no, it's conspiracy theory. It's conspiracy nuts. Now you're talking shit, mate. Because why? That lets them continue doing what they have to do, man. They don't have to deal with the realities. So I read this, Isaiah 47:1. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." And yeah, that's basically even the fact that it's being discussed and a mainstream bodies out there talking about it is just showing like, yo, the chinks in the armor are being highlighted. They're pointing out like, damn, hold on. It seemed like everything was good, man. Like we thought this was a golden, supreme, amazing, spectacular civilization. But now what we're finding out, there's all these issues. Because there's what? Take the millstones and grind mill, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. Yeah. So the nakedness is being uncovered. That's what we're engaging with that aspartame being discussed, saying, oh, it causes cancer. If you're talking to people in the world, I ain't even gonna engage with them because the first thing they're gonna, they're just gonna slot you. Oh, it's a conspiracy nut. It's like you mentioned, there's certain. It's funny because that conspiracy theorist tag just lets you, people just like slot you into a box, and then just think, oh, I don't have to think about anything he's saying because he's just a nut. It's funny because it's good training, because then and the thing is anyway is there's been shown over time and again that what at one point was called a conspiracy theory. That shit was fucking true. That shit was going on, but people, it basically makes life easier to live. They can think, oh yeah, I know what's going on. Nah, these guys it's just crazy. But now that everything's being revealed, it's again highlighting everything that's basically this place, this kingdom, current rulership, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man's rulership. Everything is just circling the drain. It's on its way out, man. And they're even a bit, they're gonna have that spirit switched up. Even the allies, man. All these nations are gonna have spirit switched up to where they're gonna be calling for and desirous of that end, man. And they're gonna assist it. Jeremiah 13. And 22, and it says, "And if thou say in thine heart, wherefore come these things upon me? For the greatness of thine iniquity are thy skirts undiscovered, and thy heels made bare. Can the Ethiopian change his spots? Or can the Ethiopian change his skin? Or the leopard his spots? Then may you also do good that are accustomed to do evil." And yeah, that's the first thing you should think of, because you go back to Sirach 12:10. It says what? Never trust thine enemy. But you need to know who your enemy is. And that's the state most people are in. They don't know who their enemy is. They don't know who they are. They don't know what's trustworthy, what's not. They're basically raised within they're citizens of this land. Just as, 2,000 years ago, you just had Roman citizens where they've just been dealing with whatever, Caesar's saying. They'll be going, rolling with, however they're raised, man. Stay in that same mindset. But if you're not, the spirit ain't working with you to clue you in on what's going down, then, you're going to be rolling with them, man, the evils that Esau just lives and breathes, man. Because that's how his civilization is constructed. It's built in a way where it's meant to what? Just bring about confusion and destruction. Isaiah 60:1 says, "Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord Yahweh is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee." Yeah. Gross darkness is covering the whole earth. That's really the state it's been in. And it's funny because it's when that time where the end, where people run to and fro and knowledge will be increased. Which is why it's with the Charagma's a spectacular example. Whenever at campus, like, ask people, "Oh, do you know about MOTB?" People will say, "Oh yeah, you're talking about the RFID, you're talking about this." It's like, yeah. It's basically one of those things where it's now been pushed out. It's been it's been pushed so far that everyone's talking about it. So they're trying, and it's funny because it was at one point a joke, like, they're gonna try and put chips in your brain, blah blah blah. But now it's actually apparent. It's switched to like, people are thinking, they're trying to, he's trying to mind control you and blah. I'm like, hold on, why the fuck do you even trust it? The funny thing is with like good examples like Elon Musk, is people will not even like the guy. They'll just be like, he's an idiot, he's blah blah blah, I got this issue, I got that issue with him. But then with the thing, with technology, you try and think, they'll just be like, he's a fucking conspiracy theorist, he's one of them lot. They can just put you in a box and then not think about it. When they think, like, hold on, why would you want this guy jacking into your fucking brain, man? Or be able to mess with you that delicately? Like, why, does that make any fucking sense? But it's that darkness is over them, man. They ain't got the capabilities to to be able to see, man. The light ain't dawned on them, man. They're blind. So Jeremiah 16, and 19, it says, "O Lord Yahweh, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, Surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit." And yeah, the truth is being pushed out. It's being coming out at such an overwhelming rate that it's really getting to that point where it's like, what? People are becoming aware. They inherit lies out here, man. Everything that seemed, so great, so glorious, so true, you're finding out, all these, everything was meant to be so advanced. People, life was meant to be being lived so well. But lo and behold, what's really been going on? You've really been, as Morpheus tells Neo, man, you've been living the dream world, Neo. Which is what it is for most people. They're basically, shut their eyes to the reality of how this place operates. Jake especially, Jake out here. For you to try and get up within Esau's realms, you're going to have to deal with a lot of BS, man. Just because you're a Jake. Because you're going to have that curse when you first one. Second is Esau don't like you. That's wired within, from when man were in the womb. but you ain't gonna have the understanding to discern why those things are. There's Jake you talk to, when they get in these spaces, they realize these things. But then what? They want in, and they want rewards, man. They want the goodies, man. They want the lifestyle. They want the so-called, they think, oh, I can earn their respect or something. They're basically trying to make a place for themselves within this. But it's coming out now. It's all lies, man. Everything that's built on, and it's coming from the horse's mouth, man. These things, these are establishments Esau set up. These are his strongholds, man. That's his powers, man. That's his witchcraft he's had going out. Where it's coming from? Because why? It's all in the spirit, man. Finish on this. Micah 2:1. It says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields." Well, yeah, that's it. They work evil upon their beds. And when the morning is light, they practice it. That's within the nature, man. That's who we're dealing with. We're dealing with a creature where you go to Habakkuk 2. It's like it says his soul is not upright within him. That's who we're dealing with. So knowing that you're dealing with him, like for you to, be trusting this guy, it's the last thing you should be doing. When you hear like, oh, there's something funny going on, the first thing you should do is distrust, what you're hearing from the mainstream. Because it's you've been going to Tesco, eating the lasagnas or whatever, and then afterwards you find out, oh, it was horse meat. You're thinking you're there chomping on some beef. Your ass was eating some fucking horse, man. You were eating a black beauty, man. And time and again, these things happen. But then, you bring these things up. People say, oh yeah, but it's only one thing. I'm like, hold on. Then how much, shouldn't you be doubting? Shouldn't you have some be critical of like, oh, okay, hold on, we're just gonna accept that. We're gonna think about this a bit more. Q bono, man. Qui bono. Who benefits, man? That's really the viewpoint you should be coming from. But what people are lulled into that state where they're basically just, hey, they've trusted in the place. They want to get out of the system, man. They see, oh, you can get this, you can get that, you can have this kind of lifestyle. They're thinking like, yo, me want it. Because it is in the power of their hand, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man whose heritage, yeah. That Israelite heritage has been oppressed out heavily, to where there's hella brand news just been slapped on Jake, man. That whole black identity, you go back 70 years ago, it was one thing. 50 years ago another, 30 years ago another, now another. There's no root, man. There's no foundation to it. It's just some brand new shit. But what? That's, you look at it, you realize this, bro. That who like, how's a man just gonna? It's not like Jake just sprung up after slavery and it was just like, okay, you men are free, and then Jake Jake was somewhere else. And before then, somewhere else, before, even further back. And what were they doing, man? Who was their power? What were they called? These are the things people don't think. They think, oh yeah, black. Just black. Says, therefore, thus saith the Most High power, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which you shall not remove your necks, neither shall you do haughtily, for the time is evil. In that day shall one take up a parable against you. Wait. Take away. Therefore, first of all, this against family do I devise an evil, which you shall not remove your necks, neither shall you go haughtily, for this time is evil. In that day shall one take up a parable against you, and lament with a doleful lamentation, and say, we be utterly spoiled, he hath changed the portion of his people, how hath he removed it from me, turned away, he hath divided our fields. Yeah. Yeah, the point was more in 1 and 2. I could have just left it off on there, because yeah, it's the entity we're dealing with. That's how they get down, man. Hella evil being devised, man. That's how Esau rolls. And this is why people are in a state of confusion. It's to his advantage. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Shalom. Yabashim Yashar. Shalom.